Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi there. Hi, Gwen. Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us today for Business and Life Insight. And I'm excited to have you here, and I'm excited to have you meet our guest this evening. This evening, we're going to be listening and learning from Gwyn Myers, PhD. She's an esteemed business consultant, educator, author, and thought leader. Gwyn is the president and founder of Myers Management Group, where she excels in inspiring people and organizations through effective project management. With a distinguished career, Gwyn has led major IT management contracts and served as an interim CIO for several prominent organizations, including American Airlines, Genentech, Levi Strauss, and Liberty Mutual. She's recognized for her expertise in project management, organizational turnaround, and risk assessment. As an educator, Gwyn has held positions as a community college professor and adjunct professor at multiple universities. Her latest publication, Embattled Projects, is a comprehensive guide on effective project management. Gwyn's passion for artificial intelligence is also paving new frontiers, with upcoming books and courses aimed at helping non-techies master AI. Hi, Gwyn. It's so great to have you here. Wow. I'm so excited. So glad to have you.
Yeah, well, I'll just start out if you don't mind.
Yes, I love it. Please do.
And by the way, here's my book, Embattled Projects. I have it all at hand. Exactly. Yes. Okay, well, welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for attending. And in the time we have together today, and I'm in a new location, so I don't want to show quite so much of the ceiling. A lot of wood here. Yeah, and I'm going to let you know the process for writing a book, how I use that process to write a book the old-fashioned way, which was this one. And then I will, along with this, intersperse ideas about how AI can help you with this process and really speed it up. And again, I'll go into some of the balance we need there. So first of all, you've got to find your idea. And believe me, it can be an arduous project. So you want to find an idea that you care a lot about, that you are dying to get out there and tell other people about. You have a passion that can then come through in your book. Because again, as the days drag on and you don't have time to write, and then you can't think of what you wanted to write, and then you didn't like what you did write, you need to be working with something that you're pretty crazy about. And how I came up with my idea, and you'll see that the idea was different until the very last chapter of the book. But I was on a contract in Portland, and we had a big all corporate meeting. So everybody that worked at the corporate headquarters was in this meeting, and they took the opportunity at the meeting to show a much too long video of them out visiting all the branches. And I'm going to call them all branches because I always protect my client. So we'll just sort of neutralize these, all their branches. And they hadn't been out, corporate hadn't been out to all these branches in many a moon. And so they met with every single branch manager, and all of those branch managers were here. Now, we went through to get in this whole balloon arch, and there were balloons everywhere, and there were all these little sayings and stickers and confetti on the table. And this lady, so the CEO got up, who's a very always impeccably dressed, very articulate guy. And he got up and introduced this too long video. The video showed them visiting all these branches, and it had marching bands and little costume outfits and silly songs and people laughing and clapping. And the video ended. And this brave young woman, when he asked for questions from the audience, stood up and said, "The people in this room don't all feel the joy you feel from that video. You've just announced that 50% of the corporate staff will be laid off. 50% of the people in this room aren't going to have a job. And we aren't feeling the marching band. We aren't feeling all the balloons." And she said, "And I'm saying this because I'm new here, and I have a talent that everybody wants, and I can get another job." So then she sat down, and she had a strong voice through it all, and of course, everybody started clapping, and my guys were clapping the loudest of all of them. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is not going to be good. So the CEO got up, his articulate self went somewhere. I certainly didn't stay. He bumbled all over himself, couldn't seem to figure out anything, told her if she was looking for a lifetime job, she didn't come to the right place. We had people who wanted to work. And then the CFO, who was my boss at the time, I was a contractor, got up and said something silly. And then the HR guy got up and forgot her name and had to ask her name again. And everybody's this meeting has fallen apart, and nobody on the stage ever got it back together. So they dismissed the meeting, and it was right across the street from where the office was. So I'm walking across the street thinking, what in the world am I going to say to these people? Because there's going to be no work done today, I can tell you that. So if anybody needs any IT help, you better find some other way to get it. They'll already be huddled in their offices talking with the door closed. So I go back and I ask my admin, who was really, really good. I said, I don't know what to say. I can't not support my bosses. But I'm sure willing to talk to any of them. I don't know if they'll want to talk. I think they want to talk to each other, but just in case. So she said, I'll just send out a simple email. Now I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what Jesus would do. And then pretty soon I'm sitting there long enough. I said, why am I wondering what he would do? He wrote a book about it. I know what he would do. And that's when the idea hit. I'm going to write a book on it all started out. I'm going to write a book on things that companies never do well. And I've seen a lot of them. And I'm going to put those all into a book because I'm tired of this. And diverse opinions and communication and decision-making are all things companies don't do well. And I've seen a lot of companies in my consulting business. So I start writing the book, and it took me too long, but that's okay. I started writing it, and I was really excited about the topic. I didn't have to research the topic, which you should do to see if anybody else is buying it, because I had seen it. So I started writing, and I have to tell you, I got clear to the last chapter, which was on project management, when I realized that all these things people don't do right that I've identified in every chapter leading up to project management have to do well if projects are going to do well. Then I started wondering how any project ever finished or even came close to target. And that's when I thought, no, it's a book on project management and how every single element, whether it's communication, decision making, diverse opinions, team building, has to work together if you're going to be successful on projects. But I did not see it as a book about projects. I saw it as a book about things companies never do right until the very last chapter. So that tells you how you can change your mind through this whole process if you want to. And that's how I wrote mine. In the writing of the book, I first did the outline. First, I identified the process, the passion, and the interest, and I really had a passion for it because of that meeting in the hotel, and because there were a lot of assignments where I just picked up bad projects. People couldn't get them going, so I picked them up wherever they were, got them back on target, and either left somebody trained that had watched me do it, or finished off the project with them. So it can be done, and they can be picked up, and they can be gotten back on track, but it'd be better if you started out and kept them on track all the way through. And that's what this book attempts to do. Now, again, the next thing, after identifying that, you should research your market demand, which I had seen it, so I didn't do, but there are so many ways now to research market demand. The first thing you want to do is who's on the bestseller list for the if you're going to write fiction, and I don't know a thing about writing fiction, but a nonfiction and fiction have their own bestseller list, bouncing ideas off your family and friends. Then Amazon is a great library for you. Just go to Amazon and see what's selling. And if your topic isn't there, don't think, oh, yippee, nobody's else written about it. No. That means probably nobody wants to read about it either. So you really want to find a topic that is fairly popular online, and then refine that idea. And again, it should be exciting. If you want to write something about something that nobody's written on, well, maybe there would be a chance that it would be a topic people wanted to hear about. But just remember, that's probably not the safest way, but it depends on why you're writing the book. When you refine your idea, you usually start out with something big and bold, like what corporations don't do right. Or, I'm just going to write about, how elephants are trained, or whatever you're going to write on. You kind of need to refine it, because you're amazed at how much stuff you're going to come up with. You think, oh, there's not enough to write about that. There really is. Let me tell you. You start writing and you start doing your research and putting all the little points together, and you're going, oh boy, this is going to be it's going to be the size of the history of the Western world. And that's not what you want to produce. So then the next thing you need to do, and the next thing that I do always do, you'll find I'll tell you when I go off course, is create an outline. And now with ChatGPT or Claude or whoever else you want to use, that is a wonderful place to bring them in. And I will usually give them a detailed outline, and then I'll say, give me an annotated outline that has these points in it. And if I don't think it did a good enough job, because I'm not a big prompt person, I'm talking to a computer. I don't feel I need to take classes on how to do that. So I just talk to it. And if it doesn't give me what I want, I keep talking until it does give me what I want. So I ask it for that, and I'll ask them to expand a little things or whatever. And they do a really good job of writing outlines. So I do that first. And once I get the outline, there's something exciting about it. I'm on my way, and I can see it last chapter too. So I think writing an outline also gives you just that little push that you need, and you can go back and keep reviewing it. And then after that, you need a structure, because people don't want to see every chapter be different. Every day should not be a new day for your reader. I did not develop that structure until I wrote my first chapter. So the structure of my book, you'll see, develops the problem. Then the second part of it is I show how it was solved in biblical days. And the next one, I give you practical advice for that issue today. So that's the structure. It's really simple. You should keep your structure simple. You're going to be using the same structure every single chapter because, again, people don't like to come in and see everything different. They like to get a pattern and they like to use that, and it makes the reading simpler for them and easier to understand. So that's the next thing. So you've got your outline, you've got your structure, and then you can start writing your first draft. And again, if anybody has questions, you don't need to wait till the end. I'll be glad to.
That's right.
Try to adjust this pad.
Well, I have a question too. So you have have an analytical background, being a programmer, a computer technology person anyway. So you're very methodical in your approach to a lot of things, I would think. But I like the idea of your creating some kind of a rhythm and a little bit of expectation for your readers so that they can anticipate how things might go in future chapters. Is that what you had in mind?
That is perfect. You said it much better than I did. Rhythm is that's an exciting term. I like it a lot better than structure.
I was inspired by you.
Yeah, that is perfect. They do. They just want to, people get it. They like to get in some sort of a rut. They like that rut and they would like to stay in it. And rhythm is perfect. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to have an exciting word the next time I do this. Then when you write your first draft, there are a lot of people, and here's where my structure falls apart. And a lot of people write, when they get up at 3 every morning and write until 5, and then they get ready for work, or they write on the mornings on weekends, or they write at night, and they do this religiously, and they claim that if you just sit there, somehow or other you're going to write. Well, I absolutely had no structure to my writing. I would start feeling guilty about not doing it. So then I'd go, well, I better get back to that. And then I'd sit down and I'd think, oh, well, I'm going to do this first. And finally, I would get back to doing it. And again, I was just writing, and I was writing off my outline. And the structure itself did not come until after that first chapter because I just wrote it. And then I thought, okay, I like this approach. That's what I'll do for the rest of the chapter. So semi-structured. I would like to be sometimes more, but who knows? And then people talk so much about overcoming writer's block. Mine was just kind of getting in the mood, and waiting for me to get in the mood to do things is probably not a good way to structure anything. But now I don't think writer's block should be a problem, and AI is wonderful here. Just give AI the topic that you're working on right now and tell it to write an article. And by the way, ChatGPT does not write books. Everybody talks about it writing books. It doesn't write books. If you ask it to write a book, it'll tell you it doesn't write books, and it will give you the whole process to write a book. But you can get it to write a book, which I've done. So I'll tell you about my whole AI book in a bit. By taking each of its outline sections and putting them in and telling it you want an article on that, and you want it to be X number of pages or whatever you're doing with it. And it will do that. And then you just assemble your articles into the book. So that's how you can get ChatGPT to do it. There are AI tools for writing it. I've used Bookle, and that's, I think, the best one. But Bookle, the minute it came into a productive mode, was scooped up by ClickFunnels. And so they charge a pretty hefty price for it. And I don't write enough books using Bookle to do that. One that is still, I think it's still free, although he's about to charge $27 for it, I think, but is Designer. And Designer has a book feature in there, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. The only thing I would say, and again, I had ChatGPT section by section write an entire AI book. I did not touch any of the content in that book. I did it because I needed to meet a deadline, and it's kind of a sad deadline, but I'm writing a book on Gen Z, and I'm not a generation person. So I got all my information off the web. There's now 2 books out there, and I bought them, but I haven't read them. So I wrote an entire book on turning around this current generation because my friend had grandkids that he wasn't happy with. Um, so he was not well, and he was in hospice, and they didn't expect him to last through the weekend, and he didn't. So I thought, I got to get this done. I let AI write the whole thing and didn't even proof it, just sent it out.
Mhm.
And he stayed up till 2 in the morning and read it. Plus, his daughter was there because the kids were about all there by then. And she works with 60 or 70 of these little Gen Z people every day. And she read it. And the comments that came back were exactly opposite from what I thought they would be from a totally AI written book. They said it was too heavy. There were facts on every page. And she said, and your facts were right on. But she said, and he said, I didn't have a chance to think. I didn't have to have a chance to reflect on anything I was reading because the next line was filled with more facts. And so he suggested breaking it into sections. And so I've got that. And as long as I know it's so factually correct, I'm going to add now my own touch to it and divide it into sections and chapters. Because remember, ChatGPT doesn't even use usually paragraphing, and it doesn't care about punctuation, and certainly indenting isn't its thing. So you're looking at a bunch of inline type, and that's not going to be something you want to publish. So we've got to always remember AI is such a great tool now, but that's what it is. You can't just turn things over to it. You need to add your touch to it, or you're not going to be proud of it.
No.
And
Sorry.
again, I'm glad it's, yeah.
Yes, I was just going to comment on
Sure.
getting input from other people to enrich the book so that it could be a nicer experience.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's an excellent idea. And that's also an excellent idea when you're seeing if there's a market for it. Great idea. And Luna, you just have wonderful ideas here.
I just
That, and I will emphasize that when I finished my first draft, again, I didn't know what I was doing. So I decided that I better get somebody to edit it because I'd never done this before. So I was looking at I was looking at a guidepost, reading a guidepost article, and guidepost is sort of spiritual and sort of not. And I think I've gone off the screen and there's a white circle, but I don't know what's happening now. I don't know if my sister's TV is off. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm going to continue here.
Oh yes, please.
So you need to get advice, ask people what they think. And once I got the editor, I had to have a story on every single chapter that caught their attention and kept them in the chapter. And if I didn't have one, she said, then make it up. Every chapter needs a story. And the other thing I will tell you, she stressed, no passive sentences. That book, if you find a passive sentence, it's because she missed it and I missed it. There shouldn't be one. And she's right. Active sentences are more active. They draw you in. They're action oriented, whereas passive is just telling you what happened and what it happened to. And it is found in a lot of academic and research writing because it always sounds a little more impressive. But it isn't something you want in your book that's going to keep people really attracted. So, and working with, I skipped the, when you're revising and editing, you always do your own self-editing for a while, but then you should have somebody else read your book. And you should seek feedback from people. Ask them if they'll read your book and give it a positive review. And if it's not positive, then how can you change it? And then if you work with professionals, mine was, her name was Ginger Kolbaba. And again, she worked for a publishing house and she also wrote for Guidepost. She was a perfect editor for me. And she was very tough. Don't want your editor to be easy on you. I'm not going to read this chapter until you get those passive sentences out of it. Okay, I'm going to do that. I practically rewrote the book. And she was so good, because you don't want somebody just kind of being easy on you. You've hired them, you're paying for them. And she
Yeah.
was a great. Now, when I made the final changes to the draft and I sent it to her, she never called, she never got back to me.
Hmm.
And so I thought, that's really weird. She wasn't going to drop everything and get back to me, but she just didn't get back. So I finally just put them in there and started on my publishing options. And I tried, and I'll get back to her when I found my publishing option.
Mhm.
So traditional, I did the book proposal, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because you have to think what your book's going to do. You've got to summarize it, and you're way ahead of the game that you're going to need to be in anyway. Well, that wasn't exactly working well. So then I thought, okay, I'll just plan on self-publishing. So I got caught up in that, and I ended up doing a hybrid, and I really was happy with it, where I went with a traditional publisher, Westbow, but I went with the Westbow division. Most of them now have a self-publishing division, and it's not a bad way to go. It's not a cheap way to go. I was trying to remember what I paid for it, and I think it was close. I think it was either. I think it was 15,000 for sure. It might have branched on to 20, but you're getting all their editors, you're getting all their processing, you're getting their publication of your book, you're getting it uploaded to. We're getting the hard copy, the soft copy, and the ebook, and they do all the uploading on the ebook and the soft copy. So it was. I'm glad I did that. This
Mhm.
next one, I'm doing the really easy way. It's an ebook that I'll just upload to Amazon Kindle, and I'll
Mhm.
see how that goes. That's free. You don't need to pay anything for that one.
Mm.
So it'll
Oh,
be interesting to see. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, but the book is out in first draft now, and it's going to be on passion.
oh, good,
So,
good,
so
good. So, could you just explain to us the difference between traditional publication and self-publishing?
I sure can.
Thank you.
Traditional publishing is you're turning everything over to a publishing company, but they're paying for everything. It's all their people. You often do not get to keep the rights to the book. That can be part of the deal. Or you can go back later, which I did for this friend that I was writing the book for, and get his rights given to me. He was going to redo it, but he never did. Um, so you need to be careful about that. And then true self-publishing, you find a publisher, and they're out there. There's plenty of them. You do all your editing, all your everything. You have to, and they will usually format it. If you want to format it yourself, they're fine with that too. But then they will only do the formatting, the publishing. They're not doing the editing. They're not doing any of that. The in between, you need a publishing house that has a self publishing division. And it will have, usually they'll pull from the same people that are doing the published version.
Mhm.
But again, there's a price for that. There's a price for all self publishing. You've got to pay the guy to print the thing and to get it out there. But you're not paying any of the overhead and any of the editing costs that you get when you go the kind of the self publishing way that's using a traditional publisher.
Mhm. Mhm.
Does that help?
Oh, yes, very much. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Are
No
there?
problem.
How did you find your companies to work with? Your publishing company?
Well, that's a funny thing too. Um, I just looked on the web, self-publishing companies. And so I was going through and was trying to pick one. And so I kind of narrowed it down. And I was living at the time in Montana, and I was meeting some friends at the winery where we kind of hung out.
It sounds like a
And
good.
I should have been out the door because I was running late. And the phone, and I decided I'm going to call this I'm gonna make one more call. I'm gonna call this one publishing thing. So I called. The guy picked up the phone, and I said, "Well, I'm just looking for a place to self-publish. And what do you offer?" And I said, "I'm really in a hurry because I shouldn't have picked up this phone." He said, "I shouldn't have picked it up either. I'm on my way out the door." And I
Mm.
said, "Well, here the two of us are dumb phone picker uppers. So let's just talk about what we can do." And it turned out that I said, well, the person I was using to do my editing died of COVID. And he said, did that happen to be Ginger Kolbaba? And I said, yeah. How did you know? No, I didn't know she died. Take that back. I said, she edited it. So it's not really bad writing, but it probably needs some touch up. So, but I said, the person I was using to edit died. And he goes, did that happen to be Ginger Kolbaba? And I said, yeah. How did you know? He said, did you know she died? And I said, no, I didn't know she died. And he said, yeah, with COVID. And he said, Ginger and I went to school together. And we even were in plays for a couple of years after college. And I said, wow, I think I know what publishing house I'm going with. I think I just got the sign. So I went with them and I loved it. It was a great choice. And they were very, very helpful. And you go through tons and tons of edits. So you read your book so many times you haven't memorized by the time you finally get it published. There's nothing, I don't know where it is in that book. But that's how I found my publishing house. Probably not your usual way, but I did look them up and I eliminated some and some didn't do everything I wanted. And so I had narrowed my list to about 4 when I started making this first call. Now, if they didn't return my call, I didn't much like that either. So I was kind of winnowing them down.
Yes.
But you kind of know, it's sort of funny. You just kind of know when you've hit somebody you can get, because you want to get along with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that they stick with you. They offer you things. They'll do a re-ad on your book, like they're just doing one on mine. They'll ask you how things are going. They'll suggest ways to, kind of promote your book. And they don't leave you. It's kind of interesting. I thought once it was done, they were gone. No, 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 they're not gone. You always have somebody assigned to you. And that person also you call to get books, and you call for, various and sundry things, or if you wonder how to do something, or they always have good people they can recommend. So once you get a publisher, even though they're not doing everything, they hang with you.
So for life, they're expecting you wrote one book, they'll expect the next one.
Yeah, they do. And your name kind of gets out there. So they wonder if you're another thing. No, I'm not going to go with you again, but that's okay.
No, so you wouldn't go back with your original publisher?
Oh, I would. I would if I were going to. Yeah, and not do this easy way out right now. I was going to try that one and see what works. But no, I'd go back to them in a minute if I wanted hardback.
Well, you have a relationship with them now. Yes.
I would have gone back to my original editor too. I just really, it's never an accident, but I really ended up with great people.
Oh.
And I think it makes a huge difference because it just, everything is a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got my publisher. I'm having trouble getting this document to go anywhere, but I don't know what this problem is. I'm having computer problems today.
Oh, gosh, with the loss of internet at your house and having to go to your sister's, my gosh. Thank you.
Yes, exactly. My sister, as I was telling Nell, my sister is out where they don't have any internet service. So she has Elon Musk satellite, and it is amazing. And it's really coming down in price, and the equipment's coming down. So I think there's going to be a lot of people that are not happy with Spectrum. I'm not happy with them right now myself. That will probably take another option, I would guess. I don't know, but it's so reliable. She has an app. She can find out about anything that's going on. It's very reliable, but she didn't have a choice. So when she started it, it was major expensive. But now it's coming down in price. And every time he puts up, he doesn't just put up a satellite, he puts up hundreds of satellites. Then everything gets better. So kind of intriguing. But so enough about that.
Yeah. So you wrote your book with AI. Have you ever written a book without AI?
No, this book was written without AI. AI was not even known. That every bit of this had no AI in it. Then I wrote a book totally AI that is not a book I would publish.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in the process. I have the first draft out of one that is AI and Gwyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way to go, because backtracking and taking apart a total AI book, remember, it's a book, it's not that an article. So it's harder. You got more stuff to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it's, I think I would write it again a chapter at a time, um, using AI
Mm-hmm.
and original thoughts. So by the time you finish that chapter, you were proud of it.
Yes.
And it
So
was, yeah.
not just
So
one go, probably repetitiously making each chapter better and better and better.
exactly. And the one
Working.
thing about AI, it can make up stories. If you say, I want this to have a story, it'll make one up for you if you don't happen to have one. Luckily, I was able to come up with stories. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I had to embellish them sometimes. They weren't really as exciting and I had to make them sound. But all of my stories, I actually came up with from something that happened at a client, even though I might have changed a detail or two in the story itself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you'll find you can. Um, Using active sentences and leading off with a story are probably the two best tips ever for writing, because you keep people engaged, and at least there's a chance of getting excitement going.
Mm-hmm. And to actually finish the book.
Yeah, and actually finish the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to
Um,
be determined to finish the book. And again, I think we all know it's easier to edit than it is to write. So just finish it. And you'll go back and change things. Don't worry about it. Then you go back a chapter at a time, and maybe that's when you want to increase the amount of AI or add something else. But
mhm.
finish it. That makes all the difference in the world, because then your excitement level is higher. And when you go back and edit it and you see yourself finishing that chapter the best it can be, and then somebody else reads it. If the editor happens to be, my sister's a good editor, but I don't like the editor. She changes too much stuff. Um, and then get somebody to read it for you, and somebody that maybe even knows the topic,
Mhm.
and then change it from there, and then edit. But just finish it. Don't look for perfect.
Mhm. Don't look for perfect. But also, you can have a version two, or an addition two, or three or four.
Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, start a trend. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, if
Mhm.
you have that I think that would be fun. If
Yeah.
you like start a series of cookbooks that will sell really well, so you could have the non-gluten cookbook, and then the oil-free cookbook or whatever. I don't know. You could do series of those and keep going. I haven't found a series I'm really into right now, but that's fun. Then
So,
you
and,
build your audience.
oh, there you go. Okay, now we can get into building the audience and marketing. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. You need
so
a marketing plan, and you need to see, everybody there needs to see you for a marketing plan. I didn't have one, and it was a big, huge mistake. Um, I just kind of played it by ear. And again,
mhm.
the publishing company helped me a lot,
Mhm.
but they'll only do so much, and you've got to market and
Mhm.
get yourself with your book on every single social media platform you're on. Just hold a picture up of your book and say, here it is.
Mhm.
And whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and then as people read your book, or you can talk friends into it, have them hold the book up on social media and say, I
Mhm.
just finished this book. You really should give it a try. And of course, if you could get Kathy Lee Gifford or Oprah Winfrey, that would be nice. I haven't been able to do that yet, but you'll have a bestseller overnight.
Yes, those, yeah, very well known luminaries.
Yeah,
Um, is
they've
on
sold
every
a lot
page.
of books. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's, but you need if you could have a marketing plan. So now
Mhm.
what and I've pieced together things that I find on the net. Like if you could have and now with AI, you can do this so much simpler. If you had
Mhm.
a message that could go out like every other day or every week or every day to all your social media people, That would
Mm-hmm.
be fabulous. And
Mm-hmm.
if you could send that message to your email list and try to grow an email list, if you haven't tried that already, it's not easy, but some people advertise you can do, they'll join this something and you'll have 1,000 added to your email list. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway,
And some
send that
people,
message out to your email and to social media,
yeah.
and you'll find it's amazingly effective. But get a plan. They need you, because I didn't have it. It was hit and miss, and that's not a way to do it.
Oh yeah. So you're gonna have a marketing plan for your next book, and
I
I
am going to have a marketing plan.
yeah.
I
No,
definitely am going to have one.
what does it look like?
Well, I'm going to ask you for that one.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't put it together yet. I'll go on the web and see if I can get a start on it, but I don't know what a marketing plan even is.
Yeah,
So
happy to
that's
help.
why I say they need you.
Oh yes, okay, good. Well, happy to help. Just love to. I'm one of these omnipresent marketing people, and I do believe in posting every day, but it has to be valuable, useful, interesting content.
Yes, yeah. I think that's the other thing that they stress, and I couldn't agree more. What
Mhm.
you give has to be of value. Don't
Yes.
keep everything back so you can make a charge for it. Give them something that is going to help them, not just something that is what you've decided to post, a silly joke or something. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important. And I remember when I first started it, I thought, I don't want to give out, that's part of the book. I don't want to give that out. I mean, they're going to be paying for this. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the wrong thinking. Give them something of value. Make sure it's of value, not
Yeah,
just something you're using as a marketing trick.
right. And some people give away the first chapter so that there could be a whet
That could
people's
be,
appetite with the
yeah,
first chapter. Yeah, get them.
that would be a good teaser.
Yes, get them hungry for the rest of it. Leave them hanging.
Exactly. That's a good teaser. I like that.
There's so much more that the book can offer, but you whet their appetite with the first chapter, or at least and that's what Audible does too, or Kindle. You
Yeah,
have a
Kindle
separate
does
book
too.
before you buy.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm
But
getting ready to, well, my book's on Kindle, but I didn't put, the publisher put it there.
uh-huh.
But my next one is just going to be on, well, it's Kindle and softback. So I'll see how that goes, and hopefully I'll get a better marketing plan for that one.
Absolutely. I mean, you got several books in you. So, and now you're going to take off. You already talked about using AI. So we talked about how you might be teaching using AI.
Yes,
I
yeah, I
tell
would, I would love to do that. Um, I've given my first speech on AI, so I've kind of gotten some, I've tested that one. That one went over well. But the other thing that I'm thinking about doing is make publishing a course on decision making, because that seems to be a problem, and that's a chapter in my book. Nobody likes to make decisions. They're afraid they'll be wrong, or somebody else should be making it, or whatever. Or they jump in and take that lesson away from somebody else. And decision making is just a mess.
mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about using one of the AI apps to create the course from
Uh-huh.
just an outline. There's one that will create it. I forget if it's Corsair. Corsair's one of them, and there's another one that
Mm-hmm.
will do it from nothing. You just give them the title decision making, and they go. I would like to give them an outline. I like a little more control over it, but it's not necessary anymore. You can get AI to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
I'll
yeah,
see how that works.
right. Yes. And what about webinars?
Well, they got AI for that one too. I'd like to do webinars. I really would, because I would like to. With a course, you're totally distant unless you arrange some interaction time, which I understand that helps the course, because they it's
Yeah.
some this is an astounding number. Something like 80 or 85% people never finish online courses, and that's a horrible record. But I
Mm-hmm.
understand the completion rate goes up a bit if you insert times when you take questions and talk to them personally. So That might
Mhm.
be something too. But yeah, you've got AI to do all that stuff now
Mhm.
and do your website and your webinars and live your life, I guess.
Well, short of that, we hope. No,
Yeah, exactly. But
definitely,
it's
it's a
again,
powerful tool.
I think you need to use it, but I think more and more as we use it, we'll discover how to use it responsibly and
No,
not take away our personality because people are still buying us. Even if they're just buying a book, they're not buying AI. They're buying, even if
mm,
they don't know you, they're buying your skill, your talent, your knowledge, and your
yeah,
personality to to a certain degree.
yes, 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 yes. And for AI to write in the style that you're writing, you need to give it the prompts, instructions that are,
Hmm. Yeah, and
and
I don't worry too much about prompts. I'll tell you the one thing I do a lot now
yep.
is I will take the same prompt. Let's say I wanted to write a couple paragraphs on something or a section or whatever. I will
Hmm.
take the same prompt and I will put it in ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity. And then I'll take all of them, and sometimes one's more your personality than the other, or you can mix and match the sentences and come up with something that you like. One of them is usually closer to what you do, and you'll discover their different ways of expressing things.
Oh, interesting. So you compare the three AI platforms.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm kind of struggling with something, if I'm really happy with what I have, I'm going to let it go. But if I'm struggling a bit and I don't really like what I have, I'll put that same prompt in a couple more
So
and
have
see
you
what they.
determined which one is best for which application?
I have not. Some of them think Claude is more conversational,
Mm-hmm.
and that lady from LinkedIn just loves Perplexity. She doesn't use anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I haven't found ChatGPT is still my favorite.
Mm.
So I don't have book writing. I said book was better, but not for the price. Some of them are starting pricing things out.
Uh-huh.
Designer, and it's spelled weird. I think it leaves off the G and puts a couple of R's on the end or something, but it's easy to find.
Uh-huh.
Their book application, and I forget what they call it now. It has its own name. It's not bad. It doesn't do a bad job at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, you can always take short pieces and put them together for a book, or you can figure it out. You can figure out how to use it. It's really, I think it's something you need to use because it just speeds up what you do so much. But you
Oh, yeah.
also need to review it. I mean, you need to insert you in it. I'm more and more convinced of that.
Well, absolutely. It's like you said, your personality. It's your brand, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's your personal brand, and the style of writing needs to be true to your personal brand as a writer, so that
Hmm.
people um, really appreciate and they grow to like and become a fan of your personal brand, and that's the goal.
It
Is
is. A
to
good example is that one that I wrote with Total AI. If that's all you read, then you came out with the idea I am a heavy, factual based, hard to read person. That's not what I want. And
mm,
that's what they got from the Total AI book.
wow. We'll
So,
talk more about that. Uh,
well,
yeah.
again, I had that deadline. And so I had ChatGPT do the outline and I had it annotate the outline.
Mm-hmm.
And then I experimented with Designer.
Mm-hmm.
Bookle by now was already gone. There's another one called, I think it's Manuscriptor or something that I think is still free, but I'm not sure. They're all starting to charge, and you be careful of that because boy, they can run up. Um, but I had Designer do it. I wasn't that happy with it, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it in sections with ChatGPT, and that's what I did. I had ChatGPT take each of the chapter titles and write an article, quote unquote, on it. And
Mm-hmm.
then I put those all together. And if it was a long chapter and it's several pieces, I would do it in pieces. Didn't take me very long. It sounds like it's arduous. You have to keep track of it is all. So I will say, if you're doing that, just keep track of it.
Right.
And then I would drop them into the book, and eventually got the whole book put together. And then he had chosen the title. It's How to Turn Around the Current Generation. So slapped the title on it and got a picture for the cover, and off it went.
And nobody knows how much time it took or how little time it took.
How little time it took, or that, and I didn't tell them. I couldn't tell them later. They're never going to know that.
No,
and the daughter is still willing to proof it for me. So once I get it to a place where I want somebody else to read it, then she's willing to do it, because she manages 60 or 70 of these little Gen Zer guys all day, every day. So at her job.
Right.
So that's nice. Yeah.
Right.
But it did get to him. So he knew I was interested. I accomplished my goal with it, but I also accomplished more because I found out it was factually right on, and it was too heavy. So that's not what I would have thought. But knowing it was factually right on when I got all my facts off the internet was, I guess, worth the silly effort.
Yes. Well, a good revelation and a lesson learned too.
Yeah. Exactly. But don't be afraid of it. It's so easy. And that's the other thing. Just bring up anything. Bring up ChatGPT, and on the bottom, there's all this junk in the middle they change every now and then. But at the bottom, there's a rectangle, and just write anything you want in there, and ChatGPT will come back with something. They want to please you in the world's worst way, and they're going to figure out something. That's where they sometimes come up and make up things or plagiarize a bit, but you should know it well enough to know when they're doing that. And then Claude works the very same way. Perplexity works the very same way. I'm kind of off of Perplexity right now, although that I should probably go back on. It started asking too many questions when you want it on. Well, what's your email and what's your name, and they just, I don't like. There's no reason for them to have all that stuff, and I don't like it. I don't like to answer all those kind of questions.
Oh, that's probably yes. So do you sign a disclaimer that they can use your information?
No, they don't ever ask you to do that. They just use it. I was listening to somebody's podcast, and another listener, and this guy's a well-known podcaster. I can't remember which one it was, but he spoke up and said, how can you put so much stuff out on the web? I mean, you put all your templates and your thises and your that's, and aren't you worried that people are going to steal them and they're just going to copy them off the web? And he let the guy finish, and then he just said, that ship's already sailed. And that was his answer.
Yeah, well, actually, I've heard too that there's nothing private on the web anymore.
No, nope.
It's all out there.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, I think you should worry about putting good things out there and things that people are going to, like you said, see that as a really good brand, and worry less about somebody copying something.
Sure.
It's going to go.
Right. Well, Gwen, you're a wonderful storyteller, I have to tell you. And
Thanks.
You speak with such vibrancy and aliveness, and you're definitely authentic.
Yeah, well, thank you. That I want to be. In this day and age, you need to be that.
Yes, absolutely. And full of life you are. But I also want people to understand you are still, not only are you a book writer, but you're still working too. So you still work.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I still work.
They're pretty large projects.
I rescue projects or get them started and stay on track or whatever. And I'm getting more into AI and giving speeches on that. And right now I'm free. Eventually, one of these days, I'd like to do something with it that made money. But right now, I'm happy to talk about it.
Well, and you're honing your skills. They're polishing up.
Yeah.
Bigger stages. But
exactly.
I want people to understand that you're a very colorful person with a lot of facets to you, and And I
Well,
really appreciate your being on the show today. It's really a treat.
oh, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. This was just a real treat.
In spite of the mishaps that happen around your
Well,
internet.
I got to see my sister. My sister and I always have subs and watch a movie on Tuesday nights.
Oh, there you go.
So now I'm here
Watch
Wednesday
on
night too.
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Watch him on Wednesday night too. Oh,
might
that
have a glass of wine with her before we leave.
sounds wonderful to me. I'll invite myself over.
All right. We won't wait for you. We'll be on our second glass by then.
Very good. All right, Gwen. So thank you again so much. And I'm just,
Anytime.
oh,
And
thank
thank you
you.
all for listening.
Yes, you're delightful.
Okay. Well, I will see you either the first Wednesday or before then.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
You bet. Thanks
Okay.
so much, Lynn. Thanks, everybody.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Thank you, Gwen.
Bye bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you. And you heard that from Gwen Myers. She's a lovely, lovely, charming person. And I hope you get to pick up her book and called Embattled Projects. So look up Gwen Myers and pick up her book, Embattled Projects. And if this book can be applied not just to corporate America or companies, it can also be applied to any organization or even any project, personal project that you want to run better. Okay, so thanks again. Next week, we are going to be speaking with Rhonda Scher. She is the LinkedIn diva. She has over 30,000 followers on LinkedIn, and she's helped 1,000 people boost their LinkedIn profile, and more than that, get business off of LinkedIn. So tune in again for a visit with Rhonda Scher. And next Wednesday, 4 o'clock, again, same time, same station. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week.